Coming up, talks on Bahamas resuming in the Far East and miles away from the Bahamas. And Bamsey showing good prospects for local food production. The Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Thanks so much for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, a Bahamian delegation waking up in China for a fresh round of talks on the Bahamas debacle. That team, led by the Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson, will join representatives of Bahamas China Construction and Exim Bank for more discussions on the way forward for the multi-billion-dollar development. This will mark the second round of those talks in China. The first session ended with no positive results for that company, but this time around, all parties are said to be hoping for a resolution that could lead to the early completion and opening of the Bahamas resort. It was also noted that the parties represented in Beijing are persons with executive authority, and the government is hoping Bahamas' principal developer, Sarkis Ismailian, would be present in person at those meetings as Bahamas' chief decision maker. And within the coming hours and days, those meetings will be closely monitored here at home. Since its launch last year, the Bahamas Agriculture Marine Science Institute has made tangible production gains. The Deputy Prime Minister expressing confidence that their efforts will ensure that the agriculture sector is on target to become the country's third economic pillar. Siaska Adderley reports.
While addressing the fourth annual Andros Business Outlook this week, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis revealed how the Associated Farmers Program of the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute demonstrates that locally produced food has the ability to be competitive. He estimates that BAMSI's quarterly input is nearly $700,000.
This program has produced gross returns of over $198,000 to the 4 farmers who are directly on the program. The influence of BAMSI on the productive capacity of the farmers in North Andros is manifested in the volume of onions harvested in the second quarter of the year in the amount of 2 million pounds from a cultivated area of 100 acres. This is the highest amount of onions ever harvested in one season in the Bahamas.
Mr. Davis explained how the commercial marketing linkages with food stores and food distribution outlets in Nassau have also been encouraging, especially the relationship between BAMSI and SuperValue. That company is already supplying customers with products from the Institute. In addition to those partnerships, more than 70 jobs have been created directly on the farm and at the Institute, ranging from laborers to individuals with doctorate degrees. BAMSI's project director, Dr. Omer Thomas, believes this has far-reaching potential, not just for Andros, but the entire Bahamas.
With this program that we have, where our farmers produce, their produce go directly to the market at a price 3 times what they would normally have gotten had they sold it to the produce exchange. The results that we are getting now is causing other farmers in other islands of the archipelago to want us to be there in short order. We presently are producing some of the staples that are required by the country. We are looking at the major imports that form the part of the diet of our millions of stopover tourists and the local population.
Overall, Mr. Davis believes Bahamians are now seeing the end of the tunnel, with farming and agriculture on the trajectory to becoming the third pillar of economic growth and development in the Bahamas. Siaska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
Now to news impacting the disabled across the country. The newly appointed National Commission for Persons with Disabilities has identified a number of areas in need of urgent attention in order to enhance the lives of people with disabilities. Commission Chairman DaCosta Bethel noted that the Commission is working with the National Insurance Board to put provisions in place to ensure that these individuals do not lose their disability allowance once they get a job.
Working with National Insurance to provide a facility that would be similar to what they provide for persons that are on pensions, where persons with disabilities can obtain work and receive some remuneration and still retain the assistance that they receive from National Insurance until such time as both of them accumulate to the minimum wage. And we're looking forward to when these persons with disabilities, they receive promotions and increased remuneration, they will then become contributors to the National Insurance Board.
Bethel also expressed concern about ongoing abuse of disabled parking spaces. He feels more business establishments need to put measures in place to accommodate the disabled.
A number of the business places don't even have comfortable access for persons with disabilities. For instance, ramps with the proper slope for a wheelchair to access the entrance to buildings. And there's also the facilities within those establishments as well, the heights of counters, lavatory access. So these are some of the items that have been identified as priorities.
In crime news this weekend, investigations continuing tonight into two armed robberies which occurred earlier this morning. Police say around 1 o'clock, a 28-year-old male resident of St. Albans Drive was walking on Nassau Street when two men pulled across him in a white Honda Accord and robbed him of $285. And in the second incident, a 40-year-old male resident of Iguana Way arrived home shortly after midnight with two of his female employees. They were accosted by two gunmen who forced them into the house and robbed them of cash from the business. One of the gunmen then took a 40-year-old woman to a bedroom and raped her. The gunman later fled the residence on foot. And still to come, we'll show you how a U.S. family is reaching out and touching the lives of many young Bahamians. That story and more when the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, continues.